Have you ever imagined waking up one day and discovering that football has completely changed its points system? For decades, football has followed a simple rule. 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 points for a loss. At first, this system seems fair. But, is it really fair? Think about it. A team travels hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles, to play away from home. They face the opponent's fans, the pressure, the hostile atmosphere, and the challenge of playing in an unfamiliar stadium. They fight for 90 minutes just to earn a draw. And in the end, they get only 1 point. Now, imagine another team playing at home, in front of its own supporters. But instead of attacking, they choose to sit back from the first minute. 11 players behind the ball. No risks, no ambition, just defending for 90 minutes to protect a draw. And in the end, both teams get exactly the same reward. 1 point. So, is that really fair? Should the reward be identical when the level of risk, difficulty, and ambition is completely different? This is where an interesting idea comes in. What if we completely change the way football points are awarded? What if the number of points depended not only on the result, but also on where the match was played? The proposal is simple. A win away from home would be worth 6 points. A home win would be worth 5 points. An away draw would be worth 4 points. A home draw would be worth 3 points. An away defeat would still earn 2 points. And a home defeat would earn 1 point. At first, this system might sound strange. But if it were actually implemented, it could completely change the way managers and players approach football matches. Let's start with the biggest change. An away win would become the ultimate prize. Imagine your team playing away from home. Under the current system, a win gives you 3 points. Under the new system, an away win gives you 6 points. That's double the current reward. And that could completely change the mentality of managers. Instead of saying, let's just avoid losing, a draw is good enough, the question might become, why not go for all 6 points? And that could lead to more aggressive football, higher pressing, more attacking movements, more risks, and more attempts to score a winning goal, even in the final minutes. But there is another major change. And this one could be even more important. The value of a home draw. Under the current system, some teams consider a draw an acceptable result, especially against a stronger opponent. But under this proposal, a home draw would give you only 3 points. A home win would give you 5. That's a difference of 2 points. And that difference could force home teams to take more risks. Instead of asking how to protect the draw, the manager might start asking how to win the match. Because settling for a draw would mean leaving 2 valuable points on the table. This could change the matches we watch today. We might see fewer defensive formations, more pressure in the final stages, and perhaps the last 10 minutes of a match could become more exciting than ever. But, there is an even more controversial part of this system. What happens when a team loses? Under this proposal, losing would not necessarily mean going home with 0 points. If a team loses away from home, it gets 2 points. If it loses at home, it gets 1 point. And this raises an obvious question. How can a team lose a match and still receive points? It's a fair question. The idea is to reduce the punishment for teams that take risks, especially when playing away from home. Instead of making a defeat extremely damaging, the system provides a small level of compensation. But this could also become the biggest weakness of the entire proposal. Because we have to ask, would giving points to losing teams actually make them more courageous? Or would it reduce their desire to fight until the final whistle? Imagine a team losing 2-1. There are only a few minutes left. The players know that even if they lose, they will still receive 2 points because they are playing away. Will they attack desperately to equalize? Or will they simply protect the result and accept the defeat? This is where completely new tactical calculations could begin. And the impact wouldn't stop with individual matches. It could completely change the league table. Imagine a mid-table team. Maybe they aren't strong enough to compete with the biggest clubs at home. But they have an aggressive style and are excellent at playing away. Over the course of a season, they could collect several away victories. And under this system, every away victory would be worth 6 points. That could allow them to close the gap on the top teams much faster. We could see a much more unpredictable league table. A team could climb several positions after just 1 round of matches. Another team could suddenly drop down the table. And the title race could remain alive until the final weeks of the season. But, is this system really fair? Not necessarily. There are some serious problems to consider. First, complexity. One of football's greatest strengths is its simplicity. 3 points for a win. 1 point for a draw. 0 for a loss. Everyone understands it. The proposed system is more complicated. Fans would have to consider both the result and the location of the match. And that could make league tables harder to follow. Second, there is the issue of giving points to losing teams. Some people would argue that a defeat should always mean 0 points. That giving the losing team 1 or 2 points reduces the value of winning. And there is another important question. Does an away win really deserve 6 points? The idea is based on the assumption that winning away from home is harder and more valuable than winning at home. But should the reward really be twice as high? Maybe yes, maybe no. And that's where the real debate begins. Some people will argue that this system would make football more attacking. Others will say that it would make the game unnecessarily complicated and create strange new calculations. But one thing is certain. This system would force managers to rethink every single match. Should we attack? Should we defend? Should we settle for a draw? Or should we take the risk and go for 6 points? And that is the real idea behind the proposal. The new system doesn't simply change the numbers. It changes the incentives. If we want more attacking football, maybe the points system itself should reward courage, risk-taking, and victories. Especially away from home. But the biggest question remains. Is it really worth changing a system that football has used for decades? If you were the head of a football association, would you approve a system where an away win is worth 6 points? Or would you keep the traditional system? 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 for a loss. Tell us what you think in the comments. And more importantly, what points system do you believe would make football fairer, more exciting, and more attacking? If you enjoyed this idea, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because the next idea might be even more controversial and even more exciting. Football could be about to change.